Rodrigo Toscano's Pig Angels of the Americlips, an anti-mask, is a genre-bending piece that experiments with poetry and drama. It's included in his book Collapsible Poetics Theater and calls for 4 actors of any age, gender, or accent to perform actions such as scrutinizing the carpet as if looking for something, putting one's ear to the ground, and obsessively cleaning something. The actors are instructed never to look at or to speak to each other directly as they carry out their repetitive tasks. Pig Angels of the Americlips features a structured improvisation activity in which actors ad-lib about their real lives and the bureaucracy involved in crossing borders and boundaries. Their discussion of an application for papers, a visa, maybe a green card, mixes with a faxed-in want ad in Spanish, which becomes a refrain. Se busca por lo mínimo un brasilero más mexicano que un argentino gringo. This might be loosely translated as in search of at least a Brazilian who's more Mexican than a gringo Argentine. Another character exclaims, "Oof, dual citizenship, that's tight underwear." Investigations with voice and gesture intersect with an inquiry into language and national belonging. Collapsible Poetics Theater won the prestigious National Poetry Series Prize in 2007. Rodrigo describes it as, quote, a demonstration of language in its social body making and undoing capacities. The texts are potential play poems that become actualized through performance, an embodied poetics that he calls body-centric. His neologism, Americlips, invokes a force of nature reminiscent of the snowpocalypses and snowmageddons of recent years. And knock wood, we won't need those terms anytime soon in Chicago. But given the political stakes of his work, the Americlips might also be the apocalypse that the United States is and exports through its neoliberal policies. America might even eclipse or be eclipsed by other nations. The Pig Angels might darkly prophetize a new epoch in US history and new directions in the US American literary tradition. Throughout his work, Rodrigo advocates and enacts El Movimiento a la Poesía Translingüística, a movement for translinguistic poetry. He code switches frequently and offers unreliable self-translations. His poetics blurs the boundaries between copy and original, between Spanish and English. Polysemy, polyvocality, promiscuous phonemic play are prevalent, and that's just really great to say into a microphone. His work is a vital part of a sea change in the prevailing vision of what US literature is and should be, beginning with the language that it's written in, and the political critique that it concomitantly articulates. And the national recognition of Chicano poet Juan Felipe Herrera, who was recently named Poet Laureate of the US, is just one visible marker of this shift. Rodrigo has been called an avant Latino poet, although that's a term that's still under debate. His writing does not quarantine concerns with politics and social justice from aesthetic experimentation, quite to the contrary. His poetry relentlessly investigates form and language, laying bare the complications of multilingual communication, mishearing, misinterpreting, difficulties in deciphering what's happening, what's not being said, and how English and Spanish can echo each other in unexpected, evocative ways. His is a politics and a poetics of reopening, as he calls it. He writes, how can the diasporic ever be local without a politics and poetics of reopening? And how can an experiment ever be an experiment without its first being an impediment to some element of some cultural aesthetic covenant? Rodrigo has a new book from Fence called Explosion Rocks Springfield, so you can add that to your Poetry Month wish list. I'm very excited to get a copy. I've heard him read from it more than once and have been blown away by the explosion every time, his energy and moxie. He rocked the audience with it last April here in Chicago at the Palabra Pura series. Rodrigo's most recent book before that is the fabulously ludic Deck of Deeds. Before that, he's published Partisans, The Disparities, Platform, and Two Leveling Swerve. He was the recipient of a 2005 New York State Fellowship in Poetry. His plays have been performed at festivals, his radio pieces have aired on many radio stations, and his work has been translated into French, Dutch, Italian, Catalan, Portuguese, Norwegian, German, etc. He's also translated his own poems into Spanish in a chapbook titled Exilio Globo Ejército a Grito, or Globo Exilio Army to Yap for, which is a personal favorite of mine. And I have to confess, as I'm telling you these things about Rodrigo, I'm hearing echoes of his own send-up of an author's bio. in Deck of Deeds. He has a prose poem called La Galerista, in which an artist potentially is talking about his or her own work. And he writes, I recently earned a Kanuki Kuki Puki Fanuki Award from Stanford University. My work will soon be presented in Chiu Shrip Hip 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 Hip. Some consider my work to be strongly Chawola Yamola, while others call me a sellout of Chawola Yamola. My early Kanuk Anak Anak Ka Nik Nik art was focused on violence against the Tuoni body. In addition to his indefatigable poetic activity, Rodrigo also works for the Labor Institute in conjunction with the United Steelworkers and National Institute for Environmental Health Science. He serves as a union trainer and coordinator throughout the US, traveling constantly, and says that he works out of a laptop tethered to a droid, residing in airports, occupying poetics in mid-flight. He recently took up residence in New Orleans and has courageously braved our chilly climes to be with us this week. So please join me in giving him the warmest of Chicago welcomes.
Thank you, everybody. I'm very pleased to be here to see John and Kimberly. Nice to see you. And thank you for that wonderful introduction, old friend Jen. This is from Explosion Rock Springfield. This is 34 movements out of 80 that are sort of extant in this text. So I'll just read it. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield leveled a strip club next to a daycare. What is explosion to a slab of drywall? What is drywall exactly? Hi-ho! Why do people strip? What is daycare? Why day? What is night care? Why daylight? Why daylight? Why daylight? Why daylight? What is care? Exactly. Gas. We're from gas. Why gas in cylindrical hollows Friday, the day after Thursday, the day before Saturday? Always. How goes gas in there? Surging, surging, surging in predetermined patterns for bodily needs and discomforts. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield leveled a strip club next to a daycare. I remember the breeze right before, burrs of, was it willow, slant falling, the gray sidewalk schist granules scattering, a brown dumpster lid smushing its green plastic sandwich meat. A rat made its debut, but for a moment. I remember the awning strings knotted tip, soft thudding a window pane, timpani's uneven beat, the rustle of stray trash bass strings almost rising, but never, and the chopper, spittle-to-tootling, a proud boot landing on obedient asphalt, the stern, uncrying chrome, the flighty flame's decorative gas tank. I can't forget the beryllium blue sunshades, orange-hued at a glance, and the stars and bars, starched, pressed bandana. Nation, idol, gorge. But for a moment, then, boom. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield leveled a strip club next to a daycare. The gas explosion in Springfield on Friday evening spared a daycare next to a strip club. At the beginning of every day, what is to be spared? What is to be felled? Hi-ho! At the end of the day, are steel buns equal to municipal zoning definitions? At all times, what is fire? Is fire on fire at every moment of every fire? Give it a break. We're burning up here. Is fire keen on burning? Is fire alert? Is fire hopelessly, beautifully distracted? Is fire itself in the acts of stripping? Or is it fire's thing to make others strip? Frabba jabba, in approximate patterns, surging, amassing, escaping, culture, planning, accident, conciliation, life. Doink. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield leveled a strip club next to a daycare. I remember the plume right before orbs of, was it cinnamon? Black rising, vapor gray, whitening, shingle, powder, rain. A dumpster lid sheared off a gravestone's angel face. A hawk's claws claimed the stump. I remember two spouts of thin flame blue marking an X, mind's waking dream. The hissing of gurgling plastic supplicant, sick, stomach's inner eyeball. And the bathtub, sitting pretty. The hysteric roof flopping in an unfazed floor. The wise, ever wakeful steel beams. And the cheery glass, beaming everywhere. Can't forget that purple doorknob horny at a glance, and the plump couch stuffing foam blazing, angry. Cities, final, chorus. But for a moment, then, shh. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield Level Strip Club next to a daycare. What is leveling to a bit of stability? What is stability exactly? Hi-ho! Why do people slink? What is it to have slackness to slink? What gives slack its slickness? What is it to schlook it up in slick and slimy care? What is doink? Precisely. Croink? Where from foink? Why doink and croinky foinkiness? Friday, the dearth after Thursday, the fray before Patter always. How goes in there? Escapes in random patterns. 4. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield, Level Strip Club next to a daycare. 4 million pieces of Frabba Jabba. There's one wet in the downpour of a conflagration dowser's cylindrical hollow, beautifully distracting flame as to give comfort to daytime and nighttime needs, as to status blood, comfort for to sprit beauty cake, buns of steel, pour la lutte ouvrière, at twilight, prime, foink. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield Liberal Strip Club next to a daycare. I don't remember the very moment. Flashes of, was I daydreaming? Biloxi bound. The termite swarm at dusk, balling up, sprinkling. A skeeter swirling in its hotel pool for the first time. A no-see-um bug popped out of nowhere, but for a moment, to romp. I can't say I recall Cleopatra's hairpiece flying off in a speeding four-cylinder vehicle, empire of the great somewhere, but never. And the flying fish, hither flopping, the carefree palms, torquing injured, the bald, unyielding sun, giddy, 10 feet in knee-high water, gripping. Have I forgotten the name of that triple IPA, something like Ronde the Moon on a batshit? And the ample-sized black polka dots in my eyes, twerking, carefully. Empire of the great somewhere. But for a moment, then. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield leveled a strip club next to a daycare. 4 million pieces of Frabba Jabba, dry and high noon, in a downpour of sun's beams. Wistfully forgetful pieces of one pulse, swept up for two, take refuge in twilight's urges, double bag sorrows at Evening calmly as when sapiens, the knower, feels it. Eyes of jewels, alert to others, wants as day breaks, new demands, seek tribute. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield, level strip club next to a daycare. Bleed it here, the gas, watch. Gauge zeros, see? Both ends. Cinch it there till it pools. Gauge should read 25. Double tap it, why not? 8 has to be 8 feet. O2 tanks in this one, or 5-foot wall between. Now that's this premise regs, right? SEALs have their own regs. Zone, each one has a reg. Same principle, you'll see. Double strap it, always. These trucks, they shake. Awful. Brewskis at the bouillon? Nah, stick a fork in me. This shift always, I'm cooked. Thursday, right, at the hall. You should chair it. Why not? All right, buddy, be safe. Don't let them gals fleece you. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield, Labrador strip club next to a daycare. Unbutton here, this strap. Even jugs, see, real nice. Now clip on this red pail 1 minute into it. Double flare it, why not? 5 can only be 5 per booth, including you. Or 8 if 2 of you. Now that's this club's regs, right? Other clubs make their own. Boss each has a vision. Same old dance, count on it. Well, maybe 2 buttons. These strobes, they blind. Crazy. Night owl shots at the coop? Nah. Scoop me on a cone. This shift always, I'm licked. Thursday, right. At my house. You should share it. Why not? All right, honey. Be safe. Don't let them guys steer you. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield, Level strip club next to a daycare. Spread out the ice like this. 12 chocolate, 3 white milks. Watch how I wedge them in. Roster should say 15. Do a roll call, why not? 4, only 4 can go. This bathroom and that one. That's this center's regs, right? Other ones have their own. Counties, each one decides. Similar norms, you'll see. Yeah, check for leaky ones. These cartons, they rip. Tons. Rump shake shooters at skis? Nah. Crunk on without me. This shift always, I'm zonked. Thursday, right, at the rack. You should chair it. Why not? All right then, girl. Be safe. Don't let these kids crank you. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield, Level strip club next to a daycare. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield, Level strip club next to a daycare. Spartacus sprinklers, top rail, serial number 218A, Inspector 48F, Shang-Chi Quality Products, Nighthawk Importers, San Bruno, California, Roman Roads Distributors, Phoenix, Arizona. Port of entry, Tacoma, Washington. Tankard 10173, Inspector 4201. ILO Quarterly Report, Case Study 1124, Ting Ting Liu, 23, female, ID 41732, Platform 12, Line 8, Station 4, musculoskeletal paralysis. 3rd metatarsal tape to 2nd phalangeal, 4th proximal splinter to 5th distal. OSHA, Region 1, final report. Incident 2267, explosion, gas. Inspector 505F, sprinklers inoperable, logic tree branch 20, system of safety failure, mitigation device. 16 drill holes stoppered, wheeled, weld burrs not filled. Citation, 29 CFR 1910-59, 159.2. Notes, Inspector 505F on leave, DOL, budget sequestered, Public Law 112-25, District 2, 112th Congress, United States of America. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield, Lubbock strip club next to a daycare. Face the bar. Poon. Jack. Don't matter. All's ash. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield, Lubbock strip club next to a daycare. Spartacus sprinklers, top rail, serial number 218A, scrap metal yard, F2, strip steel tanker 28. Samson's Recyclers, Pittsfield, Massachusetts, steelworkers, local 4128. Smelting furnace 48, slab beam rollout batch 81.2. Semper Forte Steel Precision Corp, Brooklyn, New York. Steelworkers 42000, section cutting station 12, steel cylinder hollow type 2B, store and send department 4, Spirit of 76 Commercial Furnishing Corp, Slidell, Louisiana, Steelworkers Local 345, Sargon, sprinklers bottom rail, serial number 231B, sink coating station 12, sanding unit 25, steel testing station number 7. Sprinkler standard specification 29 CFR 1910-155. Station inspector number 13. Sales packaging room H. Sort and stand garage 4. Second incident of forklift crushing workers' toes. Spirit of 76. Motivation, free cupcakes. Friday director, Chet Baker. Steelworkers 375. Chief steward, Marinela Fernandez. Section 5, Clause 2, management shall comply with all state and federal standards. Safety Committee grievance number 78, unannounced station rotations, inadequate training. Staff training regulation arbitration hearing number 501P336. Sargon Sprinklers, first annual wet t-shirt contest, Supersonic Dance Club, 3rd floor, Picayune, Mississippi. Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield. Thank you. I wear it strong. The print fits, don't it? And foinks all over it. As the event received its echoey, this word. But here's a stage for it. And the headspace for it. Shit. Nobody noticed. Nobody popped from there, blown off for takes. That word. Somebody, could have strutted tall, called forth far. So I do echoey. And the word in me, well, we work in the ears deep, make what seem to be evening gas explosion, stone cold phrase leashing liberal strip club next to a daycare. But the world slinks between evening gas explosion, unseen, for all to hear, unheard, for all to hear. Heat pressed onto this blouse. I wear it strong, all day. It's perplexing and bright. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield, Liberal strip club next to a daycare. This barter buy tattoo, it's for the discerning, flashed while in cat crawl, after the eyes of jewels, before the limb tossing, as the lyric settles, siphoning up the beat. Is fire, fire? Is fire, fire? Love it, because by then, discerning gentlefolk are inside the ductwork. So sheets prey on concern. Cappies straight up applaud. We just say sapienized, meaning mothers' keepsakes checking frabba jabba, set to pled left, All right, so that's how I girl up. Every night to make this assing scape. My real name is Lulu Chateau. Yes, I publish poems. No, I've never heard of you. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield left a strip club next to that daycare. Lips Among the Living. That's the title of it, or what it was at least. In the VIP room, hung high, lured over, did its thing, never flinched, all charred. But if you look, still the gargoyles stare out. Some folks freak the frick out. What it was a pain, silent scream, reached deep the moment the door closed. Now look at it, crumpled, can't quite make out its soul. 50-cocked female hawk from its beak flung towards us, a sort of sausage links, rope made of human lips. Life, it cradled some life. The place was otherwise pure machine for product. All emotions packaged. Cube after cube after. Guess I will take it home. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield level strip club next to a daycare. 4, 2, lay, deep, pipe, high, who. As to plode per pound prime pumps. As per force of flow, fill, flange. For to make fire flame, strip, plode. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield Loblaw Strip Club next to a daycare. What is blood to constrictive tissue? What is constriction exactly? Hi, ho! Why do people nation idle gorge? What is engorgement? Why gorge? What is disengorgement? Why vascularity? Why masculinity? Why femascularity? What is nation idle gorge? Precisely. Flame. Where from flame? Why flame in both nostrils? Ploding. Friday, the day within Friday, the day within Friday, the day within Friday. Always. How goes flame in there? Spittle-to-tootling, spittle-to-tootling, spittle-to-tootling engageable patterns. 4, regulated flow, and frabba-jabba. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield Loblaw Strip Club to daycare. Porcelain shards, tenderly gash plastic bags. Silica dust droplets bashfully queue up. Rubber toilet float gaily oops out. Couch stuffing cinders friskily fly away. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield Loblaw Strip Club next to a daycare. Echoey. Springfield, Massachusetts. Massachusetts, USA. USA, Planet Q. Near miss, on target, in the cards, random shuffle, decision makers, process testers. God bless the fuckers, ours. God bless the fuckers, theirs. Pipe Fitters Local, 1138, Port Apple Explosive. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield Loblaw Strip Club next to a daycare. What is fantasticality to a neuron of gray matter? What is gray matter? Exactly. Hi-ho! Why do mitochondria insist? What is death dodge? Why dodge? What is undodge? Why quasars? Why quasars? Why quasars? Why quasars? Why quasars? What is it to quase out? Exactly. Plasma. We're from plasma. Why plasma and cylindrical hollows? Friday, a light year after Thursday, the tetramillisecond before Saturday. How goes da-dun-dun-dun in there? Da-dun-dun-dun in there. Squirming, squirming, squirming in quantum jittery patterns. 4, cosmic potential and actualization. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield, little strip club next to a daycare. Echoey. Gluteus medius to rectus femoris. Rectus femoris to piriformis. Piriformis to adductor longus. Off kilter, on the beat, in sequence, connective patterns, erotic taskers, accounts adjusters. God damn the shift work theirs. God damn the shift work ours. Amalgamated adult entertainers. Coiled Cobra, AAE Local 39, will strike if provoked. Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield led to strip clippings to a daycare. The Jupiterian midday lead effusion on Ganymed liquefied a zinc bed next to a crater rim. The Uranian morning argon ionization on Oberon dispersed a helium cloud next to an ammonium pool. The Neptunian magnetosphere at dusk on Triton catalyzed carbon dioxide to glow red next to a haze of methane blue. The Saturnian midnight hydrogen fission at the core vaporized iron sludge next to a vent of nucleated nickel. The Mercurian afternoon potassium excretion at the crust sucked sodium into a xenon vacuole next to a krypton spatter cone. The Martian nitrogen demisting at daybreak in the Mare Erythraeum made a visible silicon chunklet next to a silicon chunklet. The Venusian evening volcanic updrafts into the troposphere rained down sulfur clods into a neon whirlpool next to the Venera 8 wreckage heap. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield level strip club next to a daycare. Drywall on its back, flat. Drywall on its side, horizontal. Drywall standing, vertical. Drywall side by side, flush. Drywall capped by ceiling mortar slab. Drywall receives a layer of primer gray. Drywall accepts a coat of moonless midnight sable. Drywall wears a film of sweat, saliva, semen, and commodified cooch nectar without a contract. Drywall, stoic and expressive, conceptual and lyrical, engaged and ascetic. Drywall, about to strip. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield led to strip clubbings to a daycare. What is compulsion to a sliver of free will? What is free will exactly? Hi-ho! Why do people jack? What is cosmic trust? Why cosmic? What is the planet Q plan? Why first shift? Why second? Why third? Why fourth? Why fifth? Why sixth? Why seventh? What is it to jack? Approximately. Ovule. We're from ovule. Why spermatozoa on diamond-coated superhighways? Thursday, bashing into Friday, Friday bashing into Saturday? Always. How goes sapiens up in there? Flaking, sliming, frothing, and regular pattern patterns. 4, postcards from Springfield. And beauty cake frozen bar wrappers. Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield left a strip club next to a daycare. Porcelain chips. Rubber toilet float rolling east. Last night's imminence elsewhere. Bits, shards, scraps, charred. Spartacus sprinklers. I hate riders who self-jack. Midday sun, coursing west. Shards, sensational. Scraps, overwhelming. Bits, demure, seductive. I hate riders who self-jack. Silica runoff, sludge puddle. Polyvinyl off-gassing. Ellipses. Springfield, poking about. Peeking in. Log it. Perhaps explosive. All around. Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield. Liberal struck club next to a daycare. The Liberty box checked the spec as did the libidinal lines at the thought crossers. Strange thing was the gonad gauge didn't register the need switches. Good thing the big O override tripped the care breakers right then. I'm sure that's what kicked in the ego ventilator, eventually firing up a poetic alarm. The Locked Out, Tagged Out American, that's the working title. Sure, as soon as this draft is stabilized, I'll pop it to you. Oh, one more thing. The personal protection equipment locker was found to be broken into, but no one's been seen wearing a distinctive yellow high-res baby doll nightie. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield Liberal struck next to a daycare. Compañeros, obviamente el peligro presente no fue adecuadamente identificado, priorizado y compañeros, no seguido por control del peligro actual. Compañeros, todo esto resultó en que la eliminación del peligro actual no fue posible. Compañeros. Compañeros, su atención, por favor. Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield level strip club next to a daycare. Compañeros! Obvious the peril, present identity inadequate. Priority making absence add compañeros, uncued action, control potential of peril, compañeros, resulting in whole was elimination, none of peril action therein, compañeros, compañeros, attention's yours for a favor. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield Level strip club next to a daycare. The opportunity button calibration was up to date, as was the backup situation circuit. Good thing was the deep doubt meter powered up the trust effusion chamber. Even better, the secondary input charge overrode the primary breakers just then. I'm sure that's what restarted the speculation fans, eventually cooling down the main frazzle unit. The Lucky Fated Americans, that's the working title. Sure, as soon as this draft is stabilized, I'll pop it to you. Oh, one more thing, the cosmic transport wormholes have since closed up, but no one's been sure, especially if you commit to the invisible pink leopard print full body suit in a pitch dark closet, the sun directly overhead. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield Liberal struck club next to a daycare. The love implosion in New Orleans on Sunday morning gave rise to a twilight care next to a mausoleum. At the beginning of every hour, what is to be conjured? What is it to be spellstruck? Hi-ho! At the end of every year, are weary eyes equal to standard computer screen definitions? At all times, what is vision? Is vision visionary at every moment of every vision? Give it a rest. We're booked up here. Is vision bent on betting? Is vision in-house? Is vision helplessly, goofily entranced? Is vision itself in the act of guessing? Or is it vision's thing to make others blind? Frabba-jabba. In preternatural patterns, flickering, flashing, floating, the arts, sciences, politics, humanities, death. Doink! The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield led a strip club next to a daycare. Fracked your sense of choice. Fracked your choice of choice. Fracked your choice is choice. Fracked your choice is choice. In cylindrical hollows, the idea. In cylindrical hollows, the application. In cylindrical hollows, the convention. In cylindrical hollows, the freedom. Twilight care when you don't. Twilight care when you can't. Twilight care when you won't. Twilight care because you most definitely ought not to. Frabba-jabba because the Prime Minister said so. Frabba-jabba because the Secretary of State said so. Frabba-jabba because the President's press secretary said so. Frabba-jabba because Sargon of Akkad's punctured bronze mask seems to say so. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield led a strip club next to a daycare that's next to a house of worship, next to the house of pets, next to a firehouse, next to an ale house, next to a house of comfort, next to the Historical Preservation Society's Poets House, next to Bob's House of Finance, next to the House of Costumes, next to the Reclamation Project housing, next to a meth house, next to a safe house, next to the House of Hope, next to the House of Action, next to the House of High-Minded Adult Naughtiness, next to a gas pipeline distribution hub, next to Pipe Fitters Local 1138, next to a cupcake shop. That's the last one. The Friday evening gas explosion in Springfield leveled a strip club next to a daycare. Of course, it's jank. That's the thing, jank. This brand of cupcake mix, jank. This Velcro snap garter belt, jank. This old control panel, jank. This new contract, jank. This strategy session, jank. This form of prayer, jank. Only say it if you feel it. This place of operation, I'm feeling everything. This place of operation, jank. This dope right here, jank. This title deed, jank. This Bullwinkle rave hat, jank. This investments vistas, jank. This venerated Popper's versifications, jank. This style of comfort, jank. This crooked rooster IPA, jank. This fire station Eurotrans party, jank. This hamster Ferris wheel with blinking lights, jank. This pastor's elevator metaphors, jank. This kind of care, jank. This way of stripping, jank. This town right here, serious, jank. This evening and all evenings before it and after forevermore, jank. Thank you, folks.